From the 28-yard line of Auburn. Bama going left to right. Bryce gets the snap, knee high. Looks, throws the fade route, near side end zone. Got it! Caught! Touchdown, Alabama! Caught by Ja'Cory Brooks in the end zone.
And Chris Davis takes it in the back of the end zone. He'll run it out to the 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 45. There goes Davis! Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way back! Auburn's going to win the football game! Auburn's going to win the football game!
And Alabama has come from nowhere to defeat the Auburn Tigers in multiple overtimes.
Welcome to Final Four edition of Titan Tigers. The Auburn Tigers have made a Final Four again under Bruce Pearl. What an amazing accomplishment. We got a lead there. Auburn's in the Final Four. What are your thoughts?
I mean, it's what I told you would happen. We're there. I knew it. We're going to win. It's set in the stars. Let's go.
So Auburn is predicted by Chance Guest to win the national championship. I have predicted all four Final Four.
He's in the top 1,000 or bottom 1,000. I don't know how.
Maybe not anymore because I think Alabama's
might have hurt you.
On the bracket that was good. Remember, that wasn't my main bracket in Titan Tigers.
Yeah.
My main bracket on Titan Tigers is the one that I predicted all four ones.
Yeah, I've got I think 3 out of the 4 because I had Wisconsin, right?
Yes, correct. But people did give me grief for having 4 number ones, Chance. But that first time it happens in over 30 years. I guess
NIL era,
20 years. I'm sorry, but yeah, I told you it's because these teams were the best teams, and you look back, they've been keeping up with the Ken Palm system of the rankings since like 1996. These 4 teams are like the top 12 teams of all time.
Yeah.
So these are the best 4 teams. I've been saying these are the best 4 teams all year. Obviously, I wish Bama could have been in there and snuck in there instead of Duke. But this is going to be an incredible Final Four. And we'll start off with the Gators versus the Tigers. Are you excited for the matchup? Obviously, Florida went into Auburn this year and won. What do you think Auburn's chances are in a rematch against Florida?
I think Auburn's going to play much better, just like we did the other night. I think we're going to step up when we need to, and if we can keep Florida dependent on their three-point shooting, hopefully they don't make them, we can win. Because we're going to win the inside game. Yeah. It's the outside game that we are not going to be able to beat Florida at. We have to hope Florida's off.
Well, they have been off lately. Yeah. And if it wasn't for the miraculous comeback against Texas Tech, with Texas Tech missing 2 free throws, they wouldn't even be here.
And don't talk about missed free throws. No.
But Auburn hasn't been that way in the tournament. It hasn't came to bite him. And you saw Todd Golden use that against Texas Tech, fouling them early and getting the possessions back.
That was a crazy comeback.
I wonder if he'll do that against Auburn if they get down at some point. The big concern is Broome. You heard him. You saw him in the middle of the game. He rolled his ankle, hyperextended. He came back, made the big 3. Is he going to be 100%, you think? Or you think he's going to be... You saw that one rebound he just grabbed with one hand.
I don't think he's been 100% since he got injured earlier.
Which time?
Season.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's been 100% this whole season since that one main injury that kept him out for like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
I think he's going to take whatever Tylenol, Advil, and help they'll give him, and other stuff. But I think he'll do whatever he can because he knows 2 more games.
Yeah.
He can handle it. I think he'll be able to minimize his minutes and just be in there for big situations and end of game.
Yes.
We're going to have big step-ups from Baker Mazzara and Pettiford.
What worries me for your Tigers, which I'm not worrying much about them.
And the other guy's a big guy that was in there for him.
Yes, but Florida has not played well this tournament. They have not. They're due for a Bama-BYU type game.
To score that 100 and something.
And again, I think the matchup is bad for Auburn because Florida has 4 guys who are Broome size, and they can just continue to throw a different guy at him. You saw Howell had the big game, the big threes. They have a lot of guys that rebound. They attack. And they're 3. Richard and Martin didn't make a 3 against Texas Tech. Clayton only made the last 3 of the last 4 in the second half. Jeez. They're due to explode. I know Auburn fans don't want to hear me say that, but I follow the Gators just as much as I follow the Tide. They're due to explode. So I'm just happy one of the SEC teams is going to be in the national championship. But I don't know if you knew this. I'm giving the coaching advantage to Bruce Pearl, obviously, even though Golden beat him this year. But Golden was on actually one of Bruce Pearl's staffs. He's best friends with Stephen Pearl. This is like a family type affair. This would be like me coaching against you, like, or me coaching against your dad and you being on your dad's staff. I'm just telling you, like, that's the relationship. I didn't realize how close they were. Like, Bruce Pearl loves Ty Golden, and he considers him like a second son, and he's best friends with his son. So it's like, he knows everything about Pearl, but Pearl knows everything about him.
I think you always know that someone like Pearl, just like a Saban, never teaches somebody all their tricks.
Very true, but I do think if you had to put these two teams on the floor, I think Florida is the better team.
Well, we've said that earlier.
But they beat Auburn at Auburn. But I think it's hard to beat a team twice, and I think Pearl's going to have something ready to go. If Broom's healthy, it's going to be a really good game. 2.5 point spread on the game. So
yeah, the spread I like, because now I can take Auburn and be confident if Auburn does win, there's going to be enough penalties in the end that it'll be more than 2 points.
Yeah,
it'll end up twisting a certain way.
Yeah,
but the game that's really going to be a shocker is that Duke-Houston game.
Yes, we'll get to the Duke. We'll get to the Duke-Houston game. Yeah, but that's going to be a really good game. Houston has looked unbelievable. Duke has looked unbelievable.
Can they actually be the first team to stop? Flag.
Well, and again, that's why I was telling you earlier, I like the fact that SEC's playing each other, because you're guaranteed one in the national championship. If Bama was playing, if Auburn was playing Duke and Florida was playing Houston, they both may lose.
Right.
So, it's at least good that one of them was going to be there.
And Bama would have been in the place for Duke, right?
Yes. Yeah, so let's get to Bama. That was my next topic. They shoot the lights out against BYU. 25 threes made. This team would have beat anybody in maybe the NBA that game. Sears had 10 threes. You almost thought while you're watching that game, God, they should probably save some for Duke, save some. And exactly what everybody was thinking happened. They can't hit a shot against Duke. And they kept trying to claw back. They cut it to 8. They cut it to 6. And they just could never break through. Bama season ends, a Final Four, and then a Elite 8 back-to-back years. That's a great 2 years for Nate Oates, but they're going to lose a lot of players. Sears, Nelson, some of their best players. What'd you think about the Duke-Bama game when you watched it? Duke's just too good?
Yeah, I mean, I just kept seeing Cooper Flagg just dominating underneath. And, one of those guys from Bama, though, the tall center for Bama, came flying across. I think it was in the last 2 minutes.
Blocked
Grant
Flagg.
Nelson blocked Flagg on a huge play. It was back and forth, both teams missing and trying to shoot, and Flagg was going up, and he just dove across and blocked it perfectly. It was amazing.
But I thought that was going to be what got him back in it, but then they just couldn't make shots.
Exactly.
If you'll look at the Bama Duke stat line, compared to them, it was so crazy. Is they shot 66 shots against BYU, and they made 51 of them were three-pointers. And how have we not said all year, they're living and dying by the three? Then you go to this game, 8 of 32.
Yeah.
I mean, which is still 25% is not good, but if you make 8 threes, that's okay. But they end up getting beat by 20. Khan had a huge game for Duke as well, 21 points. You look back, they got 4 or 5 stars that are young guys.
Oh, yeah.
So, again, I think that's the advantage for Auburn or Florida going into the national championship game if they play Duke.
Having the oldest team in the league.
Both those teams are Auburn's the oldest team in the country. Florida's got 3 senior guards. So I think that, like I said, these young kids are playing really well. Obviously, Flagg leading the way. Flagg didn't have his best game against Alabama. He was 6 of 16, so he still dominated in other areas. But it was Proctor had a pretty good game. So again, it's they just look really good. They look almost unstoppable if you want my honest opinion. So
6 of 16, but look at the time, 35 minutes.
Yeah, they look at those guys. They
36.
They barely play. They play 6 players. Chance.
Yeah.
36
minutes. They went nonstop, and he doesn't get tired. You see him; he's still leading them back out after timeouts and everything.
But again, 9 rebounds, 7 rebounds. They all rebound the basketball. They all play well together. Shire's a great coach, man. I can't believe. Everybody wondered when he got the Duke job. They thought it should have been a couple other people. Yeah. But Shire, the former national champion, he has done a great job. Almost making Duke likable is what I've seen a couple times. So, but yes, Duke, Houston, Florida, Auburn. We'll get to those previews in our pick 'em, and I'll be interested to see who you pick in the other Duke-Houston game. I know you're going with Auburn, and I'm going with the Gators. That's pretty much simple. So, all right. The other big story besides the Final Four is the world has turned to the New York Yankees and their torpedo bats. I don't know if you've seen anything about this or read anything into this, but the Yankees have now moved. So usually the bat, in Little League you have a big barrel and a skinny barrel now that has gotten big. The Yankees have now moved, instead of it being the same size all the way through.
Yeah, the torpedo bats.
They moved it and moved the label. They hit, scored 20 runs and hit 9 home runs, including 3 by Aaron Judge. I don't think Aaron Judge was actually using a torpedo bat. Then you see other teams have now done this. De La Cruz
they follow the rules.
But De La Cruz does it. He hits 2 home runs for the Reds. What do you think? I mean, is this?
It is.
It's within the rules.
It's within the rules. So it's the same thing that Belichick and others have always said. Like, I'm going to know the rules better than you.
Yes.
Because if I can do that, I can manipulate and twist the rules to my favor.
Yeah.
So that's what this is. And they said this guy had a degree from somewhere, a physics degree and stuff. Like, should be a NASA scientist. He designed this for them. They're going to make a Moneyball movie about him, I guarantee. But I'm sure it went through tons of studies and research. Probably a lot of their practices and stuff, where a bunch of players went out there and started having fun.
It was Volpe. Volpe, he hits a lot of balls off the handle on the label. So they moved the label and then made the torpedo side where he hits it. So they're pretty much like, this guy hits it here every time. This guy hits it here. Let's just move the biggest side of that bat and then make the rest of the bat the same size. But that one...
And as long as it stays within that diameter, it's perfectly fine, because it still doesn't extend a certain length and it doesn't get any bigger. I think it's creative. I think it's awesome.
Is this tush-push-esque?
No.
I think it's even better than that?
I think it is legitimately using science in your favor.
Well, if that tush-push is science, you get behind the guy that squats 600, like you always says.
Well, that's brute strength.
Yeah.
But this is science in the fact of, like, which I thought was hilarious. You saw that picture I sent with the golf club. I said, if you're going to start changing baseball bats, we need to start changing golf clubs. My sweet spots are all on the outside. So, like, we need some innovative situations like this, and you see it happening in other, like, sport divisions, like the UFL, like the NFL. They're putting things in to implement and see if they want to bring it into the NFL.
Yeah.
Well, Major League Baseball, they have other things that are interesting, like banana ball and stuff starting to come up and bring new ideas, but they've already been changing the game so much that it's still not drawing enough viewers.
Well, banana ball sells out the Royal Stadium, but the Royals don't sell out the Royal Stadium.
So that is also an entertainment value difference, but just Major League Baseball in general is like the NBA right now.
Yeah.
It's just on a decline with viewership. So I don't know if it's more of, hey, let's just start mixing things up and see what we can do.
Yeah.
I like it right now. I haven't paid attention to the MLB all
year,
month,
and now I have to. But I thought the one funny meme I saw was the guy with the big glove in the outfield down.
Yes. Hey, it's on my hand.
All right. The real question is how long before the MLB steps in, or do you think they step in?
I don't think they step in until the end of the season. I think they let it go because if you
see how this may be, ratings are up, home runs are up,
and you haven't prevented other teams from implementing it.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big thing too. It's not like you're being stingy, Scrooge McDuck over here, hiding it, and I've got my secret and you don't.
Yeah.
It's sharing the technology, sharing the science. If they can do it, so can you.
Yeah.
I like it.
So tell me this right here. We know the ratings still haven't been what it was with Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa in the steroid era.
Dude, they started letting them take steroids?
Well, again, the 70 home runs. I know Judge has done it a few times, but again, like, this is something that's like, hey, this is not doing steroids. It's just changing a thing in the bat. They've changed the baseball. They change the baseball all the time. You can't use the spider tack when you throw now, and all these, the rosin bags and all this stuff. So it's like, the game has always done different things. Yeah. This is pretty crazy, though, I think. And
the steroid thing obviously had human health factors involved.
Exactly, yes.
But this is just super, just innovative.
Innovative, yes.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, moving on to the next subject, going to college football. We are getting close to, I guess, spring games coming up. And
the ones that are going to play them.
The ones that are going to play them. And we're getting close to, summer camp and things like that. A lot of the players are getting on campus that haven't arrived early. You saw, because of all the spring game issues, Deion Sanders and the coach of Syracuse, they wanted to have a spring game between two teams.
Yes.
Which I actually thought was a pretty cool idea.
A jamboree.
A jamboree.
We did them in high school. I think it's a great idea.
Yes.
I think it gets more competition involved. You
Yes.
don't have to. You know the dumbest thing, which you'll probably make fun of me or anybody else will, but I stopped counting score every time I went to an A-Day game for either Alabama, Auburn, because they're scoring it so weirdly on the orange and the blue or the red and the white. Like I just stopped caring. I'm like, oh, well, another offensive score. Like it seems pointless to a point where it's just a practice.
Yeah.
And I want to see competition.
Yeah.
I'm always down for competition.
Fran Brown is actually Syracuse's name. I'm sorry to say his name earlier, but yes, they were denied.
Yeah.
And he makes a smart comment. And man, if it was Bill Belichick and Bill O'Brien coming up with this, NCAA probably would have let it happen because it's me and Dion, and they don't want all this. I was just
Speaking of Dion, you saw his contract.
Dion got a new contract. Yes, saw that. What do you think? Like, why did they deny it? I mean, that just doesn't. Is it player safety? Is it? You think they'd want something for the ratings and people would watch that? Again, it's a jamboree and the high schools do this.
So not only could you argue, I guess you could argue multiple things. The fact that they're trying to do it so quickly is one. Now you've got to coordinate with broadcast networks and say, well, Colorado could put it on theirs. Who cares?
Yeah.
But that's one aspect. Then you've got the refs you've got to pay. You got to make it a different type of event.
Yeah.
And you got to actually pay them different instead. And then the NIL deals now. Does this add an extra game to a player's contract where they're like...
Oh, yeah. I
so
didn't think about that.
Now that you've got players in contracts with how they perform for certain schools in college, I wonder how that will play into, like you said, certain teams want to start recruiting kids early and getting them on the transfer portal when they see them in a spring game. That's the same deal with this. They see how competitive somebody is.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So maybe it is. Maybe it does have some influence. Who knows?
Yeah, I just thought was a very interesting, comments by coach, and then obviously NCAA denied, which I just didn't like. So, all right, last thing on our headlines: Bucks shoot 51 of 74 and score 133 points, best field goal percentage since 1998. So many topics have come up of like who's the face of the league and who's this, and Gilbert Arenas was one of the few people that was like, he gave stats of like everybody's looking for Anthony Edwards or Luka or whatever. They're like Giannis and Jason Tatum.
Jason Tatum's been proving it for the past 3 years.
And Jason Tatum's on the cover of NBA 2K25. My son just got the game.
He
so I know
earned
that
it last year.
But LeBron, Curry are still in the league. Curry had 52 last night. I know people are obviously A-Rod just bought the Timberwolves. I think that's because Anthony Edwards is on that team. That's a huge franchise. You want to pay that guy and build around him. You don't watch as much NBA until the playoffs, and obviously you watch Boston. Who would you say is it still Curry and LeBron?
Well, Curry is still the entertainer of the NBA. Like, people show up to their games just to watch his pregame.
Yeah.
So, I think with Curry, and as long as he keeps doing his trick shots and having fun, doing all that, they don't have to win all the time as much anymore. They proved themselves during the Splash Brothers era and all that. I think he's more the entertainment era version of it now. LeBron is just the king still going.
Yeah.
So people are wanting to see his last game. So every season they're going to be like, oh, this is the one. I'm buying every ticket. I'm going to see it. So I think that has that factor to play in, but he's not consistent every single week.
Yeah.
He's not doing what Tatum's doing every week and Giannis. I think Tatum still has a good push for that point, but I don't think there's any real player this year that is a face of the NBA.
Like I said, I just think because Jordan was still the face of the league when he was older at his age.
Well, let me add, what's his name? Luka. I think he is the most growing face of the NBA now.
And like Joker's having incredible nights every night. There's a lot of good players. That's a good point. But I just think, like I said, until LeBron and I mean Kobe, when he was kind of in his life, he was, I wouldn't say maybe the face of the league LeBron was, but I guess until LeBron and Curry leave, I don't know if there's anybody that's going to be quite marketable like they are. Curry's such an entertainer, like you said. LeBron's on his last run. So, I think those are really good points. But, I'm with you on that. I would say still LeBron and Curry until, somebody else wins 4 or 5 championships. So, all right. So, those are the headlines. We've already done a quick tourney recap. We talked about Florida coming out of the slump against Maryland. Maryland coach takes the Villanova job. I hated that. We talked about that last week before the game, how it was going to affect the team. Second half, big time comeback for Florida to break out of the slump. Bama makes the 25 threes against BYU, which was crazy. Arkansas loses a 16-point lead against Texas Tech. One of the biggest comebacks. So now there's been the 3 biggest comebacks in sports in the tournament have been Texas Tech, UCLA, and there's one other team. All 3 have ended up losing to Florida.
But Texas Tech still didn't cover the spread. They came back and did that win, but they only won by 3, right? And it was 3.5 was the spread. So they did all that, and it still pissed me off at the end of the day.
See, my brother, this. The largest comeback in the Sweet 16 history, Ohio State coming back from 20 against Tennessee in 2007. They lost to Florida at the end of the season. Second largest Sweet 16 history, UCLA coming back from 17 to beat Gonzaga. They lost to Florida in their season. And then Texas Tech did the same thing where they came back 16 and lost to Florida. So Florida's the comeback killers, I guess is what you would call it.
Well, let's not let that be the case this week. Let's not. The games are Friday, right?
Yes. Duke beat Arizona. Love had 35. Man, that guy plays good against Duke every time. He was the only guy that really contributed. Duke advanced to play Bama. Auburn played their best game of the tourney, and I wanted to bring this up about them beating Michigan, who hadn't lost in a couple weeks. Atlanta was rocking. I don't know if I recall a home court advantage like there was in Atlanta for Auburn.
Yes, and that's something that they even brought up afterwards was I don't know anybody that's had an Elite Eight advantage like that.
Yeah.
Or a Sweet 16.
Both of
them that were that much of a big advantage of your crowd. Well, yeah, Atlanta from Auburn is a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go. And then you got everybody in the state of Alabama still going to go over to Georgia.
Birmingham and
Michigan, that's a big trip to make. They're
not
even
just that, but
they're not even going to be able to beat us to the tickets.
Well, they play Michigan and Michigan State. So, yeah, both, so
right.
Oh
yeah, I think someone put a picture up. It was the Gulf of Auburn for all of the Michigan lakes of Auburn or whatever for the Lake Michigan.
Houston beats Purdue on a nail biter. They had the inbounds play. Purdue, Matt Painter, I get a shout to him. He's had Zach Edey the last few years and always was favorite. This year he wasn't. I think they were a 4 seed, and they were a play away from going and playing Tennessee and to go to the Final Four. So Purdue barely loses. MSU squeaks by Ole Miss. Ole Miss was there, man. Chris Beard, incredible year for Ole Miss. They almost make the Elite Eight.
Purdue was 4.
And Tennessee beats down Kentucky. That wasn't even a game. I was kind of shocked. You picked Kentucky, but Tennessee played really well. Then we get into Saturday. Florida's amazing comeback against Texas Tech. We talked about that earlier. Clayton Jr., Hall, both making the big shots down the stretch. I thought the game was over. Down by 9 with 3 minutes left. I turned it off. I didn't want to talk about it. My brother even said it was over. He said, well, great season,
he wasn't texting much in between it.
Duke crushes Bama. We talked about that. Auburn beats Michigan State. We talked about that. And then Houston crushes Tennessee. Ooh. I think that was the biggest shocking to me of the tournament is how bad they beat Tennessee. It was bad.
It was like Ziegler and them just didn't know what to do on offense. They were playing all right on defense, keeping up with them every once in a while, but you knew Houston was going to score. But when they were on offense, they couldn't do anything.
You know what it reminded me of? Tennessee was like a poor man's Houston. Like, they met a team that did what they did, but way better with better players. Yeah. Like, it's like, you be thinking you're a really good player and then meeting I always say no Sean Marino and Eric Berry. Right. That's my favorite thing. No Sean was a 4-star guy running all over the league, and then he finally hits a 5-star Eric Berry, and Eric Berry puts him where he's like, I still love that. Hey, we made him pull it up on the thing, but it's like you think you're that type of team and you have that mentality until you meet a real team with better players that has that same mentality, and they just put the throat. I mean, it was
they did
a really good game. Houston and Duke's going to be a really good game.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the game of the week, and then whoever plays the championship after will be that next. But I think it'll be better than the Auburn-Florida game.
Yeah,
I think Auburn-Florida is going to be something where you just get pissed at one of the teams because they're not doing what they should. I really do. I think it's just going to be why can't we make a free throw or why can't we make a 3? I think it's
not going to come down to the wire. It's going to be somebody's going to lose the game more than win the game.
Yes, I really do think that's going to be.
I'll see if that prediction holds through. I think that happens a lot in some of these games, like Texas Tech. Texas Tech lost that game. Florida did make the plays, but if they make free throws, they win the game. So hopefully we'll get 2 great games in the Final Four. We're also going to predict the women's Final Four as well.
Oh, we are?
Yes.
Women are going to win.
Here on Tide Tigers.